On today's Locked On NBA Game Night, the Game 7 is here between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets. Which is set for that? Get you set for the conference finals and play a game of buy or sell.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Let's get it going on Locked On NBA Game Night. I'm your host, Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. You can find me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. That's Gavin, Schall, host of Locked On Knicks. We're taking you through every Saturday night around the NBA, including in games where there is no game to divulge. There was no game today. We saw the Knicks and Celtics wrap up Friday night. We will see the Thunder and Nuggets wrap up Sunday afternoon. We're kind of in this limbo in between two games, but Gavin, so far, this has been a really wild postseason. You look around at the teams that are left standing and the series that we're going to preview here on Sunday between the Thunder and Nuggets. How have you enjoyed this NBA postseason?
Been cool from a Knicks perspective. Not going to lie about that. All the teams that you and I put on fraud watch throughout the year are eliminated, so our personal agendas have been served. So from a selfish perspective, I really enjoyed it. The injuries have obviously been a bummer, but the level of basketball, I think, is pretty unparalleled in terms of what we've seen in recent years. I love where the sport is at, where there's this incredible parity. I mean, since 2019, no defending champion has gotten past the second round. I think the sport's in a good place, and I'm having a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, it's been so fun to see it all unfold, and it's just been so fun to see. Like you said, we've been right on a few predictions, so that's been awesome. But also, just the narratives that can come from it, the storylines, and the potential things that are tested, like depth versus having a solid footing 5, 6, 7 guys. Is depth overrated? Could be something that you talk about from this upcoming Game 7 between the Thunder and the Nuggets. Thunder, deeper team. I think most talented team whenever you look at they won 68 games, but yet they find themselves in a one-game sample size against the Nuggets squad that has a shallow roster, but they have the best player in the world, and they have a championship battle-tested core, and they trust their 6 guys, and they have more guys I think that they trust right now that they feel confident in than OKC might. And now it's for all the marbles Sunday afternoon with the ABC crew in town, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Where do you lean on Game 7?
Yeah, so I think I might have been leaning Denver. The Aaron Gordon injury, I think, changes everything. As of tonight, we don't know his status, officially listed as questionable. I'm curious your opinion on this. I thought he didn't look quite 100% all of Game 6. Still absolutely essential to have him out there. Like I wrote down just a little list of areas where Denver desperately needs this guy to play. I mean, this would not have been the description of him in the past, but I think just as like a spacer who can survive defensively and give you positional size, there is just nothing else on this roster to replicate it. Like Michael Porter Jr. has been like a sieve defensively, a sieve. I don't know what the word is in this series. And I mean, the bulk of his recent career, obviously dealing with the sprained shoulder. And Gordon has turned himself from a guy who last postseason, I think was something like 24% from three to right around a 40% 3-point shooter. I think at about 38% for this series specifically. You need it. You need like Nikola Jokic is already like playing like people talk about in a phone booth. He's playing in a porta potty right now with like all the dirt around him, like guards swiping at him, 2 bigs at the rim. Like they just desperately need Gordon out there for some semblance of spacing. They need him to slow down J-Dub. He's done such a good job in that matchup, and his size, his IQ, his athleticism, like I think tilts the pressure where like whatever. And I know you've made the point correctly that J-Dub's doing like a lot of exceptional stuff outside of shooting the basketball well, but the guy does have like 33-21 shooting splits right now. And like whatever nerves are a part of that, whatever is just like not being ready to hit those shots on the setting is a part of that. I think the pressure that Gordon's applying is tilting that just enough in the wrong direction. And with him not there, like if J-Dub breaks out, like, and Shai is Shai, it is just incredibly difficult for Denver to win this game. You need him as a connective passer. You need him to not be overly reliant on Russell Westbrook playing 30 plus minutes in this game in Oklahoma City, where he could very easily get into his head. Hey, you know what? I think I'm going to be the hero in this one. I don't think that ends well for Denver. You need his weak side rim protection just as much as you need him on the ball. Like, just not a lot of other optionality there. There was that play where the other Jalen Williams, like it was middle of the second quarter, it was routine play, catches, just finishes right over Michael Porter Jr. Like he's not even there. Like that is such a concern, the amount of rim pressure Oklahoma City could apply if he's out. And like you need him to just like soak up some possessions and create shots. I know he hasn't done a ton of that, but like even the low quality shots that him and MPJ take, at least that isn't like someone who isn't totally ready to be on the ball, committing a live ball turnover. So I apologize for the extended rant. You're the expert here. I know we have limited time, but to me, like that is the factor in this game. If you can even get like 25 minutes out of him at the level he played last game, I think Denver just off of experience has a pretty decent chance to pull off this upset and end this incredible Oklahoma City season. If he can't go at all, like I don't really see a world where Denver has enough to win this game.
Yeah, a lot will swing on Aaron Gordon, and their injury report is longer than it's been all series. You have Jamal Murray probable with the illness that he's been dealing with. He looked fine in Game 6 when he first popped up with that illness. But then Russell Westbrook is probable with a hand injury that he's dealing with, a hand sprain, they're calling it. And then Gordon, which was interesting to see him be questionable after Shams used the words, it's in doubt. You might think that that'd be doubtful, but it ends up being questionable for Aaron Gordon. And you're right, in Game 6, it's not like he played bad. He just didn't, to me, all game, he didn't move the same way that he moved the first 5 games of this series. Now, great for Denver that this pops up, with 2 days off in between Game 6 and 7. The first time that they've had 2 days off in this whole series is between Game 6 and 7. That's good for Gordon, but that's also good for their whole team because this is a team that's been running on fumes after going 7 against the Clippers, then playing every other day. After that Game 7 against LA, they've played every other day of playoff basketball in games that have been outside of Game 2 down to the wire. And really could go either way. Both sides, I think, can think to themselves that if you do little tiny things differently, the series is already over heading into Sunday, but now it's a 1-game sample size on Sunday. I think that if Gordon is anywhere close to 100%, Denver has to love their chances, even though it's on the road, because you have the best player in the world and you have more guys who you trust to step up even on the road than the Thunder do. The pressure could get to them. The pressure could get to their complementary players. Role players typically do play better at home. And so you saw that with Strothard and with Christian and with these guys in Game 6. Now it heads to Game 7. I picked Thunder in 7 before the series. I think that you got to just stick with it now that Game 7 is here, but there has been some things that raise some question marks. But Gordon, you are absolutely right with how he impacts this series. He's a guy that they trust hit his threes. Credit to him. He's overhauled this game from 3-point shooting, from the free throw line, and it's been sustainable, not just in the regular season, but here in the postseason. He's been massive. And, Michael Porter Jr., I love the fact that he's competing. I love the fact that he's putting himself out there. But, it's no question that he's hurt badly, the way that he's been so inefficient, so inconsistent, and the lack of ability to score the basketball. And then defensively, he has been able to be scored on that end of the floor, whereas Aaron Gordon has been really, really stark on that end of the floor throughout this series. So there's a lot up in the air right now with this Game 7. For the Denver side specifically, that you would, I guess, lean toward the Thunder side because they at least have more, not as many variables. Their variables are they going to make shots or not? And Denver's variables are they going to have one of their best players play or not? For a shallow 6-man rotation, is one of their best 4 players going to play? And that's always going to be scary. I think he's going to give it a go. But the thing is, like with Aaron Gordon, he gave it a go in that Sunday game of the back-to-back that he played. The Nuggets played in March with OKC, but he only lasted 3 minutes. I think he's going to give it a go. I hope that he's able to play the whole game. I hope he's able to be really good in this game. But where does he land physically with this hamstring injury? We saw a hamstring injury impact series already this season, and we've seen it impact series throughout the course of NBA history. These hamstrings are really tough to get over and really tough to nurse back, especially on the fly like this in the postseason. So where does he land will be the big thing. We're going to talk about this series again in the coming segments because I want to know who you think will win, why you think that they'll win, and then what's the fallout of Game 7? Is there anything that changes in your mind about Denver or about the Thunder if they win or if they lose, and what would those outcomes be for each team? Who's the pressure on in Game 7? We'll talk about all that coming up. But first, let's say right now, but good friends over at Prize Picks, go check out Prize Picks today because Prize Picks is great. Basketball season is at its peak right now. It's the playoffs. It's the conference finals coming up. It's game 7 of round 2 coming up. Right now is the best time to put your sports knowledge to the work with Prize Picks, the top platform for daily fantasy sports. Prize Picks makes it easy and for you to just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, you get a shot to win 2,000 times your entry. This week, you look at SGA, more than 25.5 points. You look at Jokic, more than 28.5 points, and you go and try to make those 2 MVPs your breadwinners today. You can also do cross-sport parlays. So listen, there's some Sunday Night Baseball going on. The Knicks and the Mets. Gavin, you're a New York guy. Don't know where you fall on that spectrum, but they do play the nightcap of this ABC, ESPN slate of games. So you can go check out and cross-sport. Maybe you take Juan Soto over hits, and you have SGA's points as well. You can mix and match all you want to. Download the app. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's just playing your first $5 lineup. You get $50 instantly when you use code LOCKEDONNBA at Prize Picks. Go to Prize Picks, download the app, and run your game. We're back on the Locked On Game Night podcast. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Gavin, Schall, host of Locked On Knicks. This has been a back-and-forth series between OKC and Denver. OKC is the only team to win 2 straight to this point. Denver needs to win 2 straight to be able to win the series here in game number 7, but nobody doubts that Jokic and these guys can do it. Denver has played in 1 billion game 7s. The Thunder's entire roster, you've seen SGA and Lou Dort play a game 7 in the bubble. You've seen Hartenstein play a game 7, and that's it. You've especially seen Hartenstein play a game 7.
Not because he was bad, just because everyone else was hurt. But yeah, sorry, that's my trauma. Can I ask you a quick question? Can you give me, like, after Shai, who in order are like the next 4 to 5 guys you're most confident in? Because that is like the single most like coming into the playoff. I think you and I were talking about it, and we were saying, like, all right, Oklahoma City, like, arguably, like, I mean, statistically the best regular season in terms of point differential, or at least in terms of net rating in NBA history, 68 win season, young, and like there were you heard these reports around the NBA, right? Like that other teams were not scared of them, other teams did not perceive them, did not respect them as you would respect a 68 win team. And while Oklahoma City, like you give Denver some credit just for championship medal, that point you made about depth, I think is relevant, that it is less relevant in the postseason seemingly than ever. And the fact that Denver is able to get through with 6 guys, and the fact that Oklahoma City's like 7 through 10 are dramatically better has not seemed to make a massive difference in this series. And yet, like, my big question was, like, would like the two, would Chet and Jalen show up? Would the next 3 or 4 guys be able to consistently make threes and make plays? You've gotten a monster series from someone like Alex Caruso. You've gotten big moments from someone like Lou Dort. But like game 7, everything on the line. Denver's been there, done that. They've looked great teams. They've looked grizzled vets in the eyes. And won these types of games. Like, who do you expect to show up? Who are you confident will actually show up in this one beyond Shai, who I think we both expect to show up in this game?
I'm confident in Chet Holmgren to show up. I think that Chet Holmgren has played his role very well this series. Whenever you look at, he's supposed to be the number 3 option. He broke his hip November 10th, and he's played really well in this series on both sides of the floor. I don't know that Chet Holmgren, like, I think that you saw that on Thursday in game 6. Like, Chet Holmgren had 19 points and 11 rebounds and an assist and a steal and a block, and he shot 52% from the floor. But it's like, that's not enough. Like, that's enough for his role of number 3, but when you're number 2 put up 6 points, it's not enough. And like the depth thing, it's kind of a double-edged sword because they've leaned on it, and it won them game 4 because they were able to just, whenever neither team could hit shots, both teams shot 24% from 3. The Thunder were able to rifle through their Rolodex of roster to find Wiggins and Caruso and Cason Wallace to be able to hit big shots in game 4. That Denver, whenever their guys weren't hitting, they had no one else to turn to. And so that lost them game 4. Then in game 6, you thought, okay, well, the Thunder can try to find the hot hand here as they're shooting 27% from 3. And nobody was hot, even as they kept flipping through this rotation. So that's kind of where the depth is in question. And in a game 7, when guys get tight and when guys typically, even the best of the best, don't shoot the ball particularly well in a game 7, the Thunder do have a bit more options to test out, but are they reliable options to your point? I think it's just Shai. I think that Chet will have a good game. I have no clue if Jada will play anywhere close to good enough on the offensive end scoring the basketball. The number 2 guy that you trust might just be Lou Dort because of his confidence level. but because of it, he's a guy who won't hesitate to shoot the basketball. He won't get in his own head. He might go 2 for 10, but he also could start out 1 for 4 and then rattle off 4 straight threes and win you this game. So I think that Lou Dort, as strange as it is, could be number 2. Chet could be number 3, and then J-Dub could be number 4, and that's not as good as what Denver can do in a tight spot right now.
I think the danger when you get to game 7 and where depth can be a little bit of a double-edged sword is you try to shuffle through a couple guys, none of them find a rhythm, and then maybe you finally find the guy who's hot and you're down by 15, right? And the game's over. Nikola Jokic is putting up like a 20-point, 12 assist second half, and you're losing under that avalanche. Like that's where it gets really tricky in this game for Mark Daigneault. I think you want to be super confident in like 8 guys, and you could tell me if I'm off on this. Like, I don't know if Oklahoma City is there right now, and maybe he has a plan specifically for how he wants to handle this game, and he wants to approach it. And it's ridiculous to say that depth doesn't matter at all, because they can wear Denver down, especially if there's no Aaron Gordon. I mean, like, all these guys are going to have to play. Like, I think you're going to see Jokic go 46. I think you're going to see Jamal Murray possibly still sick, maybe even sicker than he was 2 days ago, go 44, right? There's a world with Oklahoma City with their pressure, which I know you pointed out in your post-game pod, was like maybe not quite at full tilt, playing in the altitude in game 6, back at home, 2 days of rest, fresh team. I think some of the inherent like anxiety and desperation of the young team could be channeled in the right way if that turns into a lot of like transition going the other way. To me, that is like one of the single biggest factors in this game. Like, can Denver just avoid live ball turnovers? And that's where I circle back on the Russ factor, because he's been the guy throughout this series, throughout the season for Denver, like often like the guilty party in that respect. And you saw like the stretches where Oklahoma City was rolling in game 6. It's because they were turning every Denver mistake into a dunk. I think they will play through Jokic more than ever. It feels like Jokic has started to figure out like where to pick his spots, how to get to the middle of the floor, like really attacking that floater range right between the 2 bigs, going at Isaiah Hartenstein, attacking the offensive glass. I think if Denver wins this, it is going to be another monster game from Jamal Murray. I thought the guy was just exceptional, Ryan, in game 6. Like, he was so good in terms of his shot making. One of the best under the rim, below the rim finishers, I should say, in the NBA. And he's just gotten better and better as this one has gone along. So I would like to bet on Denver Stars. I just fall back on the idea there's not quite enough there. And even if you go back to game 5, in a world where like Shai doesn't pick up 4 fouls in the first half, maybe Oklahoma City pulls away in the third quarter and Denver doesn't have a chance to have that late Julian Strawther punch, who's obviously going to be a big factor in this one. It's such a fascinating game 7. I'm incredibly excited for it.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, because you're right. I mean, the Thunder grew a 12-point lead. Shai gets his 4th foul, and then he has to sit to close out the second quarter, and which is not normal for him. He usually just finishes out the second quarter, and that's whenever the Thunder let go of the rope, and Denver got the momentum back. And the only thing that was a saving grace to put OKC up even by 2 at the half was a Lou Dort corner 3 at the buzzer. Other than that, it was all Denver for the last 7 minutes or 5 minutes of that second quarter. SGA, like, that's a big part of this, right? Is what you can control if you're the Thunder. You can't control if these guys are ready to hit their open shots and if they're ready to cash in offensively, because they are so young and we just don't know. But you cannot give away fouls 90 feet from the basket. Hartenstein gave one away. Shai gave one away. Shai gave 2 away, really, because that 4th foul with Jokic at the turnover, you got to just turn the ball over and get back on defense if you're Shai, even though you're trying to make a play. And then Shai had one where he grabbed Jokic's arm baseline when Jokic was going up for a layup. Mm-hmm. That's just like, man, it's the first half. Like, I know you want to make a play, but you got to let Jokic score the ball there and not give him, first of all, an additional point, but also give yourself another foul to get yourself into even more foul trouble and really turn the tide of this game. So, I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein ends up with fouls trouble as well, where it's like Isaiah Hartenstein first play of the game fouls Jamal Murray for 3. Like, you just cannot give away these fouls in silly spots. And then the Thunder have to clean that up and kind of control what they can control, because if they're not ready to hit their shots, they're just not going to hit their shots. But some of this stuff is what they can do. And then you have to see the Thunder be willing to do what Denver's willing to do. And it's going to be tough because they've never done this with Shai. But in this series, Jokic is averaging 41 minutes per game, and they got blown out in one of the games. SGA is averaging 37 minutes per game. Like, you've got to get that higher. It's a game 7. Everything's on the line for Shai and for this Thunder team. Ultimately, being at home, I think that the Thunder role players will play better than the Denver role players. I think that you saw in game 5 where Jokic was sensational. Like that was an amazing game from Jokic, and he was really good in game 6. He is figuring out how to be the aggressor with this really physical Thunder defense and fight through that contact. He's got his touchback as well. You can still weather an incredible Jokic game if you can shut the water off for all the other proponents. This Thunder defense has to play the way that has gotten them this historic moniker as a defensive unit, and that starts with not getting in foul trouble. SGA has to be awesome to match Jokic's awesome output, and then you hope that your role players do play better than Denver on the home hardwood in a Game 7 to win Game 7 and push them to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2016. So I will say that the Thunder win because it was my prediction before the series, and I do like the home aspect of it, and I do think that they're due to shoot the ball better. But where are you at on this Game 7? It can really go either way.
Yeah, I think 100% healthy Aaron Gordon. I think I would have picked the Nuggets, but I think that is such a swing factor. And I think Oklahoma City will be able to build up enough of a cushion and survive a late Denver punch that it's not coming down to the final 90 seconds. Because in the final 90 seconds, I maybe trust Denver a tad more, even though Oklahoma City's proven throughout the series they're capable of pulling out those kind of games. And to your point, I think tilting Shai towards 44, 45 minutes, this is like he's the one guy we both said we have no doubts about. This is clearly the biggest game of his career, though. So I'm really, really fascinated to see how he performs in that stage. Where for Jokic, this is obviously a big game, but he's been there, done that. All that being said, definitely picking Oklahoma City.
Coming up, I think that there's something exceptionally wrong with the way that Game 7 is being discussed heading into Sunday night. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the conference finals previews. We'll talk about buy and sell with our special game all coming up. But first one's here right now, but good friends over at Game Time. There is nothing like playoff basketball. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the atmosphere that you want to be a part of the most and see it live. This year's matchups have already delivered, and if you want to get in on the conference finals, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually go down closer to tip-off with the killer last-minute deals, and you have a panoramic view of your seat. That way you know exactly what you're going to buy. If you want to follow your favorite team on the road, but you've never been to Indiana or you've never been to Minnesota, make sure that you're able to check out the view from your seat with no surprise fees at checkout. Game Time is a total game changer. I love that I can know what I'm getting into with the seat, but also the no fees at checkout is phenomenal. You toggle on the all-in pricing and boom, it's right there for you. There's no guessing game of, okay, what am I really going to pay here? I love the guesswork being out of buying tickets with Game Time. Go download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. But again, create your account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Go download the Game Time app. What time is it? Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Gavin, a lot of people are talking about the Nuggets Thunder series, and they're saying this one phrase that I think is ridiculous. The winner of this Thunder Nuggets series is going to win the NBA Finals. And I think that assertion is wrong. Can they win the NBA Finals? Absolutely. Anytime you get to the Final Four, you have a great chance to win it.
Sure.
But you look at what's happened to the Thunder, for example, and how this Denver zone has given them fits, and they haven't been able to find consistent half-court offense, and that they have guys who have not delivered on this stage and continue to not deliver on this stage, even as they get this to a 7-game series. If they win this game, do I think that they're just going to waltz through Minnesota? Absolutely not. And with Denver, you're already seeing now the tax and the wear and tear that it's put on their shallow rotation. We're having discussions if Aaron Gordon can even play in a Game 7 for your season. And like, that's a big deal because it's like Aaron Gordon, you know what a competitor he is. You know how seriously he takes his craft. He would do anything to get out there in a Game 7 for a guy who has quite literally saved Denver's season with the buzzer beater against the Clippers, with 2 massive threes to win the Nuggets 2 of the 3 games that they've won so far this series. They need him. And the fact that his Game 7 is in doubt, like, that sucks. And if they win it, is he going to just magically get healthy for this Timberwolves series? And the Timberwolves are like a maximized version of what Denver does, where they have guys who you trust to hit big shots, but they have a deeper rotation. They have more variety of looks that they can give you. They play better defense than Denver can, for as great as Denver's played defense in this series. It's like, why are we just casting aside Minnesota? Not even to mention, the Knicks and the Pacers who are waiting on the other side. So I don't think that this game 7 is for the NBA championship. Am I wrong on that? Do you think that the Nuggets and Thunder are just better than the rest of the crew left?
No, I definitely don't think so. Your point on Aaron Gordon's well taken. We saw Minnesota, right? They love playing the Denver Nuggets. They survived the Jokic 60-10-10 game this year. They beat them a year ago. They are a weird team in that, like, you sometimes look at them from like a pure, like Mike Conley aside, like pure basketball IQ perspective. And you say, all right, seriously, like these guys aren't really going to do this. They didn't really get a chance to prove much against Golden State without Steph Curry. And yet there is this like fearlessness and confidence and swagger emanating from Anthony Edwards, emanating from Julius Randle, playing the best basketball of his life. My guy, Dante DiVincenzo, he always brings the heat in that respect, where they're definitely not going to fear Denver. I don't think they fear Oklahoma City. Like you saw them come back and beat Oklahoma City with Anthony Edwards on the bench earlier this year, right? Like, and I would put it this way. I think Oklahoma City is the clear-cut favorite to win the championship based on what they did in the regular season, based on, I would say, still having the best player in the field in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with a shout out to what Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jalen Brunson are doing. And their depth and their defense, right? Like their defense is still probably the single most overpowering like element left in these playoffs. But to your point, there have been some cracks there. There's been some fragility there, and like a team full of vets like the Knicks, even like the Pacers, could take advantage of that. So I'm with you at the end of the day. Like, no, I definitely don't think whoever wins this. I do think there's a difference. I think if Oklahoma City wins it, there's a clear favorite. I think if Denver wins it, like it truly is anyone's title.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the fallout is of this game 7. And we already know like the talking points if the Thunder fail in this game 7 and they can't get out of the second round again, and they would have never beaten a good team in the playoffs with this core. Like they're going to have to sit with this until next May, honestly, because no matter what they do in the regular season, it'll be cast aside as, yeah, that's cool. You could win 78 games and be like, yeah, that's cool. But in the playoffs, like it's going to determine if they can get over that hump and if people can take them seriously or not. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's just going to be the messaging about this Thunder team out of game 7 if they lose. And I think that if Denver loses game 7, the only discussion would be, one, you have your coach. I think that no matter what happens Sunday, David Adelman is a fantastic coach and should be the Denver's long-term plan. But you already knew in Denver that this team is not deep enough to survive an 82-game marathon and put you in great position to go to the championship and win it and survive the couple months that you play postseason basketball if they were to lose this game on Sunday, because you're seeing the tax that it's put on their players' bodies, the few players that you can trust. They do need a little bit more from this roster. Now, Deron Holm coming back from injury, I think that's going to be a huge deal. I loved him pre-draft last year, so like that's another kind of feather in their cap, so to say. Mm-hmm. If they win it, then it's like, well, Jokic is just an all-time great, which he is. And it's like, if you have Jokic, you have a chance to go to the finals every single year. So let's just keep pushing for whatever moves you can make on the margins. And like you see Michael Porter Jr. healthy next year, and you see Aaron Gordon fully healthy next year, and you'll be able to make an even deeper run with just minor tweaks to what Denver's trying to do. So I think that Denver has not a ton of pressure in game 7. The Thunder have a lot of pressure of how they'll be talked about afterward. But I do not think that the winner of this game will just waltz their way to an NBA championship or even to an NBA Finals appearance. So I do think that people are getting that wrong a little bit, kind of getting swept up in how fun this series has been, and not giving enough due credit to some series that have not been as fun to watch unfold to this point. But Gavin, let's play a quick game of buy or sell to end the night. Buy or sell? Giannis is not a Milwaukee Buck at the start of next season, because Chris Haynes reports today that they have set up a meeting with Giannis to discuss his future in Milwaukee with Bucks brass. And then you saw ESPN report earlier that, this is the first time he's kind of open to the possibility of not playing in Milwaukee. Where do you think that lands? Buy that he's going to be traded in the summertime?
I'm buying it. He's flirted with this in the past. He's like touched on it the last few off seasons. Feels like he's like slowly like the kid who's gonna like jump into a lake when his mom doesn't want him to. That may or may not have happened to me. We don't have to discuss it. Like he's getting there, and like if not now, when, right? Like there is clearly no future there in terms of championship contention. If he gets nostalgic, if he decides he wants to be a Buck for life, if he just like he has a young family, if he decides he wants to raise them in Milwaukee, sure, then he'll stay. Outside of that, it doesn't make any sense. And I hesitate to say it doesn't make any sense for the Bucks to keep him because they obviously don't have their own picks, which maybe they'd be okay just winning 50 games and having like a top 3 player in the league, a top 15 guy all time. That's fair. I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides to move on somebody.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it too, just because once we've gotten a second report already, and it's like we're not even close to kind of this hitting a full send yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already have 2 reports of these decisions or whispers or murmurings are happening, and we've never really seen the toothpaste get back in the tube in this scenario. We've never really seen a guy be this open before the conference finals even begins about wanting a new team, then all of a sudden going, no, we're fine. We're going to stay here.
Well, there's no Dame trade this time, right? Like there's no carrot for them to dangle. Like that's gone.
Everything's gone. Their selling point is just gone of it, other than, hey, you can be one of the few guys that sticks with one organization the entire time. And we might go through a little bit of a lull to get back on top. But if you can stick with us, like that's your legacy of just being a one-team guy. And I just don't know how much of that matters whenever you're such a competitive natured human being and you want to go win championships. And it's like another year where you look at Giannis' season and you can really make an argument that he had one of his best seasons of his career, which is saying a lot for how great that he is. And look how it ended. Like, look how he wasn't even close to an NBA championship. And I think that that's just not enough for him anymore. And it shouldn't be enough for him anymore. And he should want to go and try to compete for titles. And so I think that he will be gone this summer, sadly, for Milwaukee fans. But buy or sell, the Cleveland Cavaliers were frauds. Like, how do you evaluate this Cavs season?
It's so tough. I mean, the injuries obviously are such a complicating factor. I am, maybe just to avoid mean comments from Cavs fans, I'm gonna just by the thinnest of margins sell it. One, because I just think Indiana's an exceptional team, and with something like as thin lined as injuries, like to tilt that series, like give the Pacers credit, they took full advantage. But to only where I want to buy it, to only win one game after that season is embarrassing. Like with Donovan Mitchell on the floor, with Jared Allen on the floor, with Evan Mobley, I believe ultimately playing in 4 of the 5 games there. Like that is just tough with all their depth. Like that is where depth should matter, right? When you have all those injuries, and yet like it just did not come through. Like they shuffled through guys. Ty Jerome was not nearly the guy he was in that Heat series. And they were a team to some extent, Rylan, that was reliant on just unsustainably hot shooting. Like they, for the bulk of the season, had a prime Kevin Durant slash line as a team, right? Like as good as they are, as talented as they are, as beautiful as the system Kenny Atkinson put together is, that was ultimately not sustainable. I think the tempo, the shooting, the passing was real. The defense maybe got exposed a little bit, and I'm fascinated to see what changes come this offseason. Do you still believe in Darius Garland? Like he's had 3 like kind of up and down postseasons. Obviously, the injury was a factor, but like a guy who is that much of a weak point defensively, when you already have Donovan Mitchell and you can't necessarily totally maximize on offense, I think that's a real question. I think it's a question like Jared Allen. He was saying the lights were too bright 3 years ago. He didn't necessarily come through in this series. Like there are some real questions about what this team's going forward, to the point that they could be in that Giannis market.
Yeah, I would say that I'm going to sell it as well, that they're not frauds. I think that they're obviously, like any team, they're not some juggernaut. We don't really have the juggernauts in this NBA world anymore. So like they're not infallible, but what would have happened if they were 100% healthy the entire series? And they are a team that's built on shot variance. And whenever you saw some of the guys have to get pushed up due to injuries, and even when those guys that were hurt were playing, they clearly were a bit off whenever they were playing. So it put even more pressure on the Ty Jeromes of the world. Whereas if he could have just played his regular season role or his first round role in the second round, then maybe you see a better series from Ty Jerome. And ultimately, like the Cavs, not that they're fraudulent, it's just that they have a bread and butter that they're going to need shooting luck. And if they ran it back next year and got shooting luck and won it, it wouldn't be some dramatically different like tone of their kind of season or tone of their roster. It would just be, hey, the ball went in for them, and they were able to make their shots like they did at the regular season. And I think that that's what they were missing. Now you can make the argument that this summer they need to go get just like the Thunder, kind of a more proven guy at this stage, a more proven guy who's been there and hit big shots before. Those guys are hard to come by, but ultimately I do think that the injuries played a large role in a disappointing end to the Cleveland Cavaliers season. So I'm not going to call them frauds, but they do like now have a summer that is going to be filled with very, very, very tough decisions, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love, like, and these guys do not grow on trees. They're very, very rare. But if you could turn Jared Allen into someone like an Aaron Gordon, just like a little bit more physicality, a little bit more spacing, again, finding those two things in one player is extraordinarily difficult, but they do have some assets to work with.
They do have assets to work with, and Aaron Gordon is an archetype that fits every single team, because I've had many a thoughts watching this series. It's like, what if the Thunder got Aaron Gordon? Well, what if the Thunder had a player like Aaron Gordon? It'd be very, very nice. But Gavin, this has been a lot of fun. We'll be back next Saturday night to talk more NBA with you all. Locked On NBA game night. Until next time, be good and be good to one another.